Okay, so I'm going to talk really fast because the video camera is trying to cut me off. Welcome back to Unredacted Feather. Today you're going to see something different than you've ever seen before because we're trying to go less. Millions of things that could be talked about this week. I was talking to Elsie and asking her for ideas, and we've decided that maybe today is the day where you get to meet her. Yeah. Talking to her on these videos, and so you're going to get a chance now to meet her if she comes over here. Maybe she will. Looks like she is.
Hi, everybody.
And Seven's over there on her side. So this is Seven's grandmother. She's been a grandmother twice now, and I know she doesn't look old enough, but
Yes.
and she hears that all the time. Still gets carded. But she is in fact a grandmother not only of Seven but of another precious, actually human in this situation.
Yes,
and a life-changing event that is.
Human grandmother for sure. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what should we do? You think we should tell them a little bit about today?
Well, I tell them about you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, so can I leave? Okay, go ahead. Tell them about me.
So I started working for this wonderful human being in 2011. And so I'm going to tell them a little bit about me in this background and then...
Good.
So I've worked for attorneys the majority of my adult life. And I am from South Florida. And then I decided to move to Central Florida in 2007.
It's actually North Central Florida.
North Central Florida. And then in 2011, I started working for him. And I've been here ever since. And I have a grandson.
So your daughter gave you a grandson this year.
Yes, this year in May. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Yes.
And you got a whole bunch of dogs.
I do. And that's how I became Seven's grandmother, because my two dogs had a litter and I was in love with this little puppy.
Their names were Albert and Honey.
Albert and Honey. And
Mom was Honey. Dad was Albert. Because it kind of makes sense. Some things are strange these days.
I know, we have to clarify it.
Yeah.
Yep. So then I thought that this Seven would be wonderful for Mark, and so that's how she became Mark's. Okay. But she's been our office dog since she was born. As a puppy, she would come to the office and stay here all day with us. So just
over 8 years ago. Well, she just turned 8 in Memorial Day, so it was actually... probably about that time now. It's had to be 6 weeks old, 6 or 7 weeks.
8 weeks, yeah.
Okay, 8 weeks old. So it was the day that she became eligible to be with me. She came to be with me. Yes. And if you watch 7 Turns 8 or 7 is 8 or whatever that
go watch
was.
7 Turns 8. It's a wonderful culmination of Seven's life and the wonderful human that she has. Taking care of her. So let's see. What else are we going to talk about?
I don't know. We talked a little bit about the idea that you served as a translator for a judge to communicate with a litigant that he had determined didn't need a translator. Yes. That was kind of funny.
Yes.
So she's. It seems to me that everybody loves Elsie, including everybody she's ever met, as far as I know. Oh, pretty sure.
Yeah. That's because I work for him.
Yeah, whatever.
But yes, I did. We represented a woman that was in the process of modification of her final judgment, and she's from Puerto Rico and was not able to communicate very well with the court, with a judge. In this case, Judge Thomas's, and it was said that she didn't need a translator because she spoke some English, but it was then determined that she needed a translator, and they did use me as a translator.
And actually, there was an order that was entered that said that she didn't need a translator.
Right. You're right. Yes, that's correct.
There was a factual determination made
Yes.
that she did not need a translator.
Correct.
And then you were asked to serve as a translator.
Yes. Yes. And it was everybody was asked to leave the room while the judge asked questions of her, and then I translated for her.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. So that was an interesting, and we also had we do a lot of different cases, areas of law, and one of them is personal injury.
Do some personal injury for sure. Some really significant personal injury cases, life-changing cases for wonderful, beautiful people that we got to get into relationship with.
Yes.
That life-changing events.
So one comes to mind.
I'm thinking of a couple.
Yes.
Yeah, but I know who you're thinking of because we talked about it before.
Yep.
And that's Miss Shirley.
Yes.
What a precious soul.
Miss Shirley was a wonderful person who we really fell in love with.
And I loved her before, remember?
Yes, you did know her, but I did not know her from before.
That's right. I want to back up for a minute.
Okay.
So I'd known her, knew her husband. Her husband had passed. She's been widowed. Just one of the most beautiful people that you could ever meet. She's just wonderful, just full of life and full of joy. And I don't remember her age, but I think she was close to 80. So she lived such a full life.
Mm-hmm.
I met her through church many years ago. We've been friends a long time. And when she got what happened, she's going with another friend of hers from church. She's always doing things for other people. And she, as I said, lived life to the full, loved the Lord, lived for the Lord. Well, on this date, she had decided, I want to go get some ice cream.
Yes.
I want to go get some peach ice cream. Well, it's
important to tell them the friend had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it was...
And she was much younger.
Yes.
And Shirley was a bit of a mentor to her.
Yes. And she wanted to make sure that her friend got to experience all these wonderful...
We're here west of Gainesville. You've heard that before, out here where we live. She goes and picks up her friend from church that's going through these life challenges. And they head north to Georgia through the back roads to go get some peach ice cream. That was the goal for the day. And amazingly, she is struck by a car that had bald tires, and it was absolutely horrific. The driver of that truck was killed, and Miss Shirley and her passenger were injured terribly. Just destroyed her legs, basically, and other things too. But she was the kind of lady that, long time of rehab, long time of treatment, spent a lot of time in hospitals, rehab facilities, but she was the kind of person that was grateful for the opportunity to be able to tell the nurses about Jesus.
Yes.
Just incredible. Well, it reminds me of Miss Betty.
Yes.
This is, similar situation, tragic injury. She was on an elevator, actually, and the cable broke, falling to the ground and crushing her hips. And
this is Miss Betty.
Yeah, Miss Betty. So these ladies that just, they're able to find... They talk about, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well, they were some wonderful lemonade makers.
And they love to talk about the Lord. So every opportunity they get, even in those circumstances, they did.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Miss Shirley.
So back to Miss Shirley. So we were able to ultimately have a wonderful success for Miss Shirley from a financial perspective. Of course, money can never fix those things, but it enabled her to live her life to the full, and then tell them about what you and Miss Shirley did after we got the case resolved.
So one of her bucket list items that she had was to visit the Panama Canal. So she wanted to make sure that because we were so instrumental in getting that money for her, that I got to experience that with her. So she gifted me a cruise, so I was able to share that bucket list item with her and that trip, let's say. And I was on a cruise with her for 10 days.
Yes.
Like 10 days.
Yeah.
I was on a cruise with her for 10 days and experiencing the Panama Canal.
And went to a bunch of countries.
Oh yes,
Glory
definitely, yes. But her main focus was the Panama Canal. But we went to Costa Rica. We went to
Colombia.
Colombia.
All over the place.
That's true. Wow, you remember all these things.
Oh
That's because I was gone for 10 days.
Yes.
Yes, it was a wonderful trip and experience that I will never forget. And her company was just a blessing to me. So the time that we spent together was great. And it was a wonderful gift that she gave me. So
yeah.
Well,
on the off chance that Jim may be watching, Jim was Shirley's son, and he's a wonderful pastor. He and her family continue to do great things for the kingdom, and just beautiful people living out her legacy. I remember, unfortunately, for us, Shirley has passed on. Yes. But she, I'm telling you, she was smiling. It was an open casket, and she was smiling. Her body was. She wasn't there anymore. And but what a wonderful person. And Betty and so many others. We had a precious friend came by today to share that his wife, who we've been in a relationship with for a long time, has been diagnosed with cancer. And we were able to spend a little bit of time talking today. And so it reminds me of John 16:33 that you've heard me refer to often, that in this world we will have trouble. But I was able to pray with Ben, and we're standing against this attack of the enemy. I mean, he wants to bring misery. And anyway, another thing that happened today, this was pretty cool. Friend of mine that you've heard me talk about Danny. If you watched the previous episodes, Danny and I went to the Philippines, and he brought me these two things today. And we talked about the next trip to the Philippines. Apparently they gave these out at his church on Sunday, and he wanted me to have one so that I wouldn't drink my coffee or my water. I am reminded that I am a fisher of men, and that's my job. It's a funny thing, I don't know whether we'll put up the piece of the video where Seven and I spent the night in the ocean in the rough seas. But even the truth of the matter is, I probably should have been scared to death. But I wasn't. I wasn't afraid. But my want tos have changed. And my uncle, if you've checked out Dave on Beholding Life and any of his teachings, we're now got the live stream going on Tuesdays at 7:00. Dave Feather, I think you can find it by Dave Feather or Beholding Life. One of the things he talks about is your want tos having changed. And so my want tos have changed. I don't want to go fishing for fish nearly as much as I now want to go fishing for men. So, when we started this thing, Laura when we started this thing, Elsie told me that she was willing to help and would produce and direct and edit and all of those things if at least half of the money went to missions. So each week, basically, I have said that, maybe not every week, but certainly the last few, that, I don't know that I really want to do this. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. And is it making a difference? Is it worth the energy? And I guess most of us wonder if what we're doing is really making a difference or making the energy. Or worth the expenditure of that energy. And, one of my prayers constantly is that the Lord will show me where I need to put my energy, because, frankly, there's only so much time and so much energy in any given day. So as I have kind of thought about not doing this anymore, and she's continued to encourage it, it's our prayer that this will grow the kingdom, right? That it'll bring glory to our Father, our Lord, who saved us, and that's really the most important thing. All of the crazy stuff that goes on in this world, the diagnoses and the failures of whatever, other humans, entities, agencies, it's only for a little while, right? Most of us will not live to be more than 100 years old. What happened to your finger there? I just saw that.
Well, I cut myself yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a...
Did you bleed?
Oh, yeah, I did.
You did, yeah. So she is human. And I told her one time, I said, if I hadn't met your mother, I would probably not believe that you aren't an angel. So anyway,
See?
That's his provision, right? It's his provision. And so that we thank him for that. And you know, the reality is that we're not supposed to do this thing alone. In fact, God said it's good for man not to be alone. And so we have other people that he puts in our lives to help us navigate this very challenging world. And so if you don't have somebody like that in your life, I'm believing for you that they're waiting. I don't know where it is that you need to go to find them. I recently met with a client, and he told me that he had been diagnosed with multiple debilitating illnesses. He'd been married for 16 years, and his wife was leaving him, and he had nobody. And my advice to him, my encouragement was, start with the church that's closest to your house and just show up. And if you're supposed to be there, you'll be welcomed. And if you're supposed to be there, there'll be somebody there that you're supposed to be in a relationship with. And if it doesn't happen to that, go to the next closest church. And if it does, and then he mentions to me, he said, well, I was thinking about going to an AA meeting or an NA meeting. And I said, well, do you drink? And he said, no, but I want to meet some people. And so I said, go. They have open AA meetings. And I tell you, I know a lot of people that began to learn about the love of God at these meetings. AA, I don't know who this may be speaking to, but if you're alone, or if you feel alone, or you feel hopeless, a friend of mine comes to mind that we befriended and spent a lot of time with, and I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, invited him to come to church, and he came to church, and after the service, he called me and he said, Mark, I realized what's been missing. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, hope. He didn't have any hope. And so today he does, and we talk on a regular basis, and he praises the Lord, even though the troubles continue to come. The hope is there, the faith is there, and so you aren't talking very much. So I'll finish with this, that ultimately it's trusting in Him for whatever it is. If we can truly trust and rely on the provider, and I'm reminded about the sheep and the shepherd and all the ways that story, and the surrender and the significance of all of that. Yep. So it wasn't that long ago, maybe 20 years, I saw on a post, and I've been a believer since I was a child, but I saw on a post on we wanted to create a treatment center of sorts, a rehabilitation center for people struggling with addiction in our area, and as an example for that, we went down to Dunklin Memorial Camp, which is located down in Okeechobee, Florida. And Dunklin Memorial Camp is basically a self-sufficient treatment center. A number of our clients have gone there. Other people have had family members that have gone there. Pretty amazing place, self-sufficient ministry. Look it up, DUNKLIN Memorial Camp. The pastor that started it, he and his wife, he was given this inspiration by God and started this thing, and they've changed a lot of lives. Anyway, we went down there to try to start this treatment center that was going to be faith-based. And if this doesn't tell you something, I saw a sign, and it said, "My burden is my yoke is easy and my burden is light," and it cited to the scripture or to the chapter and verse that's found in. And I didn't feel that at that time. I didn't feel like his yoke was easy or his burden was light. And that was the beginning of another substantial change in my life as I began to believe in these promises of God. So your turn.
Well, I was just going to say, I started this conversation by saying that I was going to talk about him and what a wonderful person he is. And I knew that if I let him talk, you can see it, because he's definitely that humble and that good-hearted of a person. So all I needed to do is just let him talk, and you will see all the wonderful people that he has touched and all the wonderful things he has done for everybody that is around him or that he meets. So, yep, he is really that good.
Well,
and I am definitely a very lucky person that I not only can call him my boss, but I can call him my best friend. So,
wow,
that
was amazing.
Amazing.
So I told her, I don't know, she's been saying stuff like that for a little while now, and I know it's not me, right? If there's anything
see
good in me, it is him, and that means that I've
see, unredacted feather.
Ew, to God be the glory. It's His grace. It is sufficient. So, anywho, I don't know what the future holds. Right? We're not even promised tomorrow. Who knows? Only God knows what's going to happen. I personally believe that the Lord will be returning soon. I think, but the word said He's long suffering, and it's desire that none should perish. None. He wants all of His children to come into relationship with Him. So, if you are in relationship with Him, then it's time to share, because time is drawing nigh. And if you're not in relationship with Him, we'd love to get you $10 million on a case. But that's going to pass. If we did it, Miss Shirley passed. She had a bunch of money. She didn't take it with her. Thank God she was able to bless her family that she loved dearly. But she would have been the first to tell you that it isn't about the money. It's about eternity. And so if you don't know the Lord, if you got a case you need us to look at or want help with, you can call us. If you don't know the Lord, call us. That means, we love helping people. We love our clients, but all this stuff is just temporary. If you can touch it, taste it, feel it, smell it, it's going to pass away. It is the eternal things that matter. And so I think I talked not too long ago about Uncle Dave's talk about storing up your treasures in heaven, right? Those are the souls, the things that are eternal. So help us, Lord, help us to keep our eyes on the unseen, or to walk by faith, not by sight, to see with our spirit eyes, not with our earth eyes. But for a little while. So anyway, that's enough out of me.
So what we want is to make sure that you like and subscribe and share this video so that we can continue to try to help those who are less fortunate.
Amen. That's what we want to do.
Yes.
Jesus said, whatever you've done unto the least of these, you have done unto me. Right? If you caught the last episode of season 4 on The Chosen, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. We'll shout out for those guys.
Yes.
Yeah, it's real. You can get a picture of the disciples that you probably never had before if you know anything about them. If you don't know, then go to the source. And I'm glad that the creators of that frequently refer to it as a television show, and they refer people to the source, which is the Bible, the Word of God. That's where it's at. That's where the truth is. The only truth that you'll find in this world. I can tell you, as an experienced lawyer, and I haven't read all these books, thank God. But anyway, these two shall pass away.
Yeah.
But there's something else I wanted to say.
Let's do it.
Almost had it. So the shout out to The Chosen. Kay Kelly or Kelly K?
Kelly K.
Kelly K. If you have not seen this guy, we hopefully, God willing, he'll come speak to it. But Kelly K, check out his teachings on cheap. Check out his teachings on
TikTok.
TikTok. This
Yes.
guy's on TikTok, and he's got quite a story and some insight that's unbelievable. His talk about Peter walking on water, his talks about
Yes,
sheep, his talks
wonderful.
about, so he's ordained. I am convinced that God is using this guy in a mighty way. I just watched one yesterday where he ended up going to a Home Depot store and just learning to listen to the Holy Spirit and letting Him direct our paths, our steps, our words, and those things, and getting ourselves out of the way, right?
Yes.
I'll share this last one. Okay. So a lot of times it seems that there are people who have it all together. They are not trouble free. I went to a service on Saturday. It was a small group. I think there were probably 8 of us. And there was a guy there that had come into the group, and his name was Bill. And Bill appeared to be the guy that had it all together. It appeared that he had all the money he needed. It appeared that he had all of the, he had the right posture. He had the right appearance. He had the right clothes. He had the right speech. He was in real estate. He was a contractor. It just seemed like this was a guy that had it all together. With the end of this about 2-hour service that we were able to enjoy together, he decided to testify. And he got up there and he talked about having run into Pastor George the Saturday before and experienced something supernatural. And there's much more to this story, but the reality is that he confided in this small group of how challenged, how difficult that recent times had been for him. And I know there are so many experiencing that, whether it's financial, whether it's health, whether it's, my goodness, the attacks come in so many forms, trying to deal with agencies or putting your trust in the court system or putting your trust in the government or any of those things. They're misplaced. And so doctors, my God, if you need a doctor, talk to God about it. If you need a lawyer, talk to God about it. I tell you that I personally have made the mistake of hiring a lawyer without talking to God about it. And talk about disappointment.
Do you want to give them a teaser of what next week is going to hold?
Well, that's an interesting question because I have no idea. I didn't know what today would hold.
So our days are normally interrupted and something unexpected. I mean, there's of course things that we put on our books that hearings and depositions and meetings and appointments and so forth. But a lot of times people just come into our office and just want to talk, or they have a lot of, like, for example, as you mentioned before, they want to share something with him or they want to gift him something. So we have a lot of interrupted days that we really get the best spiritual nurturing from.
Yeah, it's true. It was my prayer maybe 4 or 5 years ago to have an interruptible life, right? That,
and guess what happened?
Yeah.
You got it.
I have an interruptible life. Yes. And so while we're in the midst of a ton of things, working on various and sundry things for different folks, the timing was such that my friend from the Philippines, Danny, showed up and I had time to visit with him. Not only did I have time to visit with him for that time and for him to give me the coffee cup and the encouragement that he always brings, a guy that walks in the light, powerful man. And this is a guy I told you about before when he was 16 years old or younger, 14. He didn't want to go ride the school bus 15 miles from his home because that was too far from home. And now he flies to the other side of the world to do mission work in the Philippines. And not only did I get to visit with him, but I got to go give his daughter a hug, and I got to go.
They do wonderful work in the Philippines.
Amazing stuff. Yeah.
And we're able to sow a little bit into their ministry.
Yeah.
And we will want to continue to do so. Yeah. We did laptops and
school supplies,
chairs.
Yeah, working on TVs. My golly, TVs are 3 times as much in the Philippines
knows
as they
about
are.
TVs and sending them to the Philippines, give us a holler. We would love to hear that.
We got to get into the churches over there for for them to watch some of the things with the children and so forth.
And to be able to broadcast to bigger audiences their services.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And so there was something else to that too. Oh, and so to make the time to speak with Ben and
interruptible,
and be able to take time to pray with him about his precious wife. And anyway, so we continue. We continue to rely on the promises of God. We continue to rely on the truth that He's given us in His Word. The word for the month or the week is. Spend time in His Word. That's where it's at. If you're not hearing God talk, pick up the Bible. He's talking right in there. It's a lot.
Will always point you to the cross. So
it's the only answer.
You gotta stay tuned.
That's the case.
So we're not lacking drama. Our office constantly has drama.
Oh my.
Not caused by us, but caused by everybody that comes into the office.
Well, and dealing with the different entities that you got to deal with, whether it's insurance companies and...
Oh, what happened today in our government? With our government dealings.
We had 2 cases that were supposed to have been dismissed based upon agreements. They were to be thrown out, and we had to go back and do the state's job again by contacting the state, who said... it's somebody else's fault. So we called somebody else's fault that it was, and they said, "Oh, we closed that file a long time ago." And we said, "Well, you didn't finish your job on the file." And they said, "Well, okay, what do I have to do?" And so we were able to tell them what to do, and then they confirmed that they understood the instructions, and they still had the county wrong. They were going to send anyway. It's just
a mess.
That's
But we have great results when the government do their job, because we had a wonderful case today that was dismissed. Well,
we'll just mention a doctor friend of ours who's a dynamo in ministry, powerful person, has done great things for God. Was taken into custody by 3 police officers when she was going to buy a gun for her husband for Christmas. And she had no prior criminal history whatsoever. Case should have never been brought. Case should have been thrown out. We had the promise that the case would be thrown out, and it still wasn't getting thrown out. But that's the kind of thing that happens, And while she didn't want this on her, she has continued to push forward for the things of the kingdom, saving kids' lives. All right, so hopefully you noticed that today's episode was different than any we've done before. Less redaction. I have no idea actually what else he will end up including, but we sure recorded a lot of stuff today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you will, send us a comment. Let us know whether you did or you didn't. And like, subscribe, and share. And we're grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless.
God bless you.
Hello. We really need to do a blooper show, right? So maybe we'll do one of those, because those are often the funniest. So welcome back to Unredacted Feather. Okay, well, welcome back to Unredacted Feather. I should have fixed my outfit before I turned this on. No, because we're going more unredacted. So what you're going to experience this week, God willing, is less redaction.